So over the last couple of days, the UFC Fight Night Cater versus Allen has low-key been saved by two men, Carlos Mota and Joshua Weems, stepping in on super short notice. I'm going to be talking about Cody Durden versus Carlos Mota in this matchup, and then later on in today, I'm going to make another video about the Weems matchup versus Rodriguez. But I'm really excited for Carlos Mota to make his debut, and I feel like the odds are a little bit overrating him potentially. I'm picking Carlos Mota to win, by the way, but I really expected him to come in as a potential underdog in this fight here, because I feel like Carlos Mota, the way that you can beat him is to use wrestling. I feel like maybe Cody Durden's got underrated wrestling because he does have a pretty good wrestling base, and Carlos Mota's just got really good KO power. He's a really good jiu-jitsu guy, and he's a really good boxer. So I would say that he kind of mixes his boxing with his jiu-jitsu pretty well. He's not really a guy that's going to shoot for offensive takedowns, but if you get him to the mat, he definitely can throw up some defensive submissions to get his way back up onto the feet, which is where he wants it. And on the feet, he's got good power as well. You know, like he just recently knocked out this guy called Rizvan Abuev, who was 12-3 at the time, knocked him out in the first round. Beat a guy with a losing record after suffering his first defeat to Charles Johnson, who's now in the UFC. And that's not a bad loss to have. I feel like people completely underrate the skills of Charles Johnson just because he lost to Muhammad Makayev. But before that, you know, he was beating pretty good guys as well. 4-0 guy, 6-1 guy. Definitely a guy that I feel like has earned his way into the UFC. And stepping in on short notice is a pretty good move for him, in my opinion. I think he's going to be able to beat Cody Durden. I'm going to pick him to win by KO. Cody Durden, you know what I mean, he got caught by Muhammad Makayev with that knee. It was in England, and there was a bit of tension in that fight before that. And before that, he did lose by a crazy submission to Jimmy Flick. But Cody Durden's been looking good, man. He's on a little bit of momentum right now. He's got that win over Aji Lang, which could have gone either way, honestly. And he's got that win in the first round by KO over JP Buys. Poor JP Buys. Poor JP Buys. But, yeah, so Carlos Mota is the pick. I don't really like picking him as an almost a minus 200 favorite. I feel like Durden is kind of like the smart underdog to pick, so personally I feel like this is a fight to avoid, because maybe the fight goes the distance, man. I mean, I'm picking Mota to win by KO, and I do expect him to get the knockout at some point in the fight. But you got to understand the fact that he's taking this fight in like 4 days notice, 4 or 5 days notice. His cardio might not be ready for 3 rounds, considering the fact that he's going to have to make a weight cut. And I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure he might have been in Brazil when he accepted the card. So now he's going to have to fly all the way over to USA and potentially lose out on 1 or 2 days of good training that he could have got in before this Cody Durden matchup. So I'm going to be going with Carlos Mota. There's red flags here. I don't mind a Durden pick. I actually really don't mind a Durden pick and consider picking him myself. But I feel like I just believe in Carlos Mota as a prospect enough to pick him to win. I'm actually going to pick him to win by KO. And I think it's very important that we're getting more flyweights in the UFC. There's only like 30 of them. So 2 good wins against unranked guys at flyweight puts you in the top 15. And that's just not what it's like at lightweight. It's just not what it's like at welterweight even. And even at the other weight classes as well, I feel like you've got to be able to earn your way into the top 15. But at flyweight, because there's so little of them, you only need a couple of good wins in your ranked opponent. You know what I mean? Like Cody Durden could beat Carlos Mota and win one more fight, and then he could be potentially fighting for a ranked spot. You know, like that's how this is. And maybe Carlos Mota could beat Cody Durden and then beat someone else, and now he finds himself in a ranked spot again. You know, so I feel like adding more flyweights to the division is very important. And I feel like the UFC really just needs to start focus on signing more flyweights. Honestly, if they just sign like 20 flyweights right now, I think it would make sense, because the UFC's flyweight division is lacking, man. So is the heavyweight division, but that's another conversation. Picking Carlos Mota. I don't like how big of a favorite he is, though, but I do think that he should be able to win the fight here against Cody Durden in this matchup.